Your dentist has never told you this. You have cavities, crowding, crooked teeth, and quite possibly wisdom teeth that had to be surgically removed from your jaw. You have been told this is normal. You have been told this is just how teeth are. You buy toothpaste, you buy floss, you book the cleaning every 6 months, and your dentist still finds something wrong. Ancient humans had none of that. Not one toothbrush. Not one tube of toothpaste. No floss, no mouthwash, no fluoride, no dentist, no cleaning, no whitening strip, and no 2-minute timer on an electric toothbrush. And when researchers examine their skulls, what they find is almost no cavities, almost no gum disease, perfectly aligned teeth that filled the jaw completely, and wisdom teeth that came in straight and caused no problems whatsoever. The human mouth, for the vast majority of human history, worked exactly the way it was supposed to. Then something changed. And in an extraordinarily short window of time, the human mouth collapsed. Crowding appeared. Cavities exploded. Wisdom teeth started becoming impacted. Gum disease became so widespread that today it affects nearly half of all adults over 30. The jaw itself started shrinking, generation by generation, to the point where modern humans routinely do not have enough room in their own skull for the teeth evolution gave them. This did not happen because ancient humans were lucky. It did not happen because of genetics. It happened because of something they were doing and something we stopped doing, and the answer sitting in decades of anthropological and nutritional research will make you look at your next dentist bill very differently. Let's talk about what ancient humans were actually doing with their mouths. Because it was a lot, and none of it involved a Oral-B Pro 5000 with Bluetooth connectivity. An ancient human woke up every morning with approximately 0 dental products and a jaw that could crack open bones. Not metaphorically, literally. Researchers studying wear patterns on ancient teeth found evidence of humans using their mouths as a third hand, gripping animal hides, stripping bark, pulling sinew through leather, chewing dried meat for extended periods, and processing materials that would shatter a modern human's teeth in about 40 seconds. Their mouths were working tools. Hard, demanding, relentless tools that got used all day long. And their teeth were fine. Meanwhile, you, a person with a $200 electric toothbrush, a water pick, a tongue scraper, prescription fluoride toothpaste recommended by an actual doctor, and a calendar reminder for your biannual cleaning, still walked out of your last dental appointment with a small lecture about your gum line. Something is going wrong, and it is not your brushing technique. Here is what ancient skulls actually look like up close, because this is where it gets embarrassing for modern humans. Dental anthropologist Peter Ungar, who has spent his career examining teeth from across human history, describes pre-agricultural mouths as remarkably uniform. Straight teeth, full jaws, minimal decay, wisdom teeth sitting calmly in the back of the mouth, doing their job, causing nobody any trouble whatsoever. The wisdom tooth, in an ancient human, was simply a tooth, a normal, functional, unremarkable tooth that chewed things and got on with its life. You paid a surgeon somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 to cut yours out of your skull. And here is the part that should make you put down whatever you are eating right now. The further back researchers go in the fossil record, the better the teeth get. Not worse. Better. The oldest human skulls show the most robust, well-aligned, cavity-free mouths. As you move forward through time, particularly after a very specific turning point in human history, the teeth get progressively more crowded, more decayed, more misaligned, and more problematic. Generation by generation, the human jaw is measurably shrinking. Your jaw is smaller than your grandfather's jaw. His jaw was smaller than his grandfather's jaw. At the current rate of change, researchers have calculated that within a few more generations, the average human mouth will not have enough physical space to accommodate a full set of adult teeth at all. We are, slowly and politely, evolving ourselves out of our own mouths. And the cause was not bad genes or bad luck. It was one specific moment in human history when we changed what we put in our mouths, and the human face has been paying for it ever since. The turning point has a date, not an approximate date, not a general era, but a specific transition that dental anthropologists can identify in the fossil record with remarkable precision. The moment agriculture arrived in any given human population, the teeth in that population got worse, immediately, visibly. Before agriculture, cavities were rare. Studies of pre-agricultural skulls show cavity rates of roughly 1 to 2%. After agriculture took hold, that number jumped to between 10 and 20% almost overnight in historical terms. The foods changed, and the mouth changed with them. Ancient humans ate meat, tubers, nuts, seeds, leaves, and fruit in its original fibrous, unprocessed form. None of it was soft. None of it dissolved on contact with saliva. Every meal required significant chewing effort, the kind of prolonged, forceful chewing that does something modern humans almost never experience. It builds the jaw. This is the finding that reshapes everything. The jaw is not a fixed structure. It is responsive tissue. It develops in direct proportion to the mechanical stress placed on it during childhood and adolescence. A child who spends years chewing hard, fibrous, resistant food develops a broader, longer, more robust jaw with enough room for every tooth evolution intended them to have. A child who grows up on soft processed food develops a smaller, narrower jaw that cannot accommodate a full set of teeth, which is why that child will almost certainly need orthodontic intervention and almost certainly have their wisdom teeth removed and almost certainly sit in a dentist's chair being told their gums need attention. Orthodontics is not treating a dental problem. It is compensating for a developmental one. Dentist and researcher Weston Price traveled across the world in the 1930s documenting populations still eating traditional diets versus those who had recently switched to Western processed foods. What he found was so stark that his colleagues initially did not believe him. Isolated communities eating traditional whole foods had near perfect dental arches, straight teeth, and almost no decay. Their relatives in the same region who had adopted Western diets of white flour, sugar, and processed food showed rampant cavities, severe crowding, and narrowed jaws, sometimes within a single generation. Same genetics, different food, completely different mouths. And then came sugar. Refined sugar at the scale modern humans consume it did not exist for 99% of human history. The bacteria responsible for cavities, primarily Streptococcus mutans, feeds on refined sugar and produces acid that dissolves enamel. Ancient humans had Streptococcus mutans in their mouths too. It just had almost nothing to eat. The moment sugar became a dietary staple, those bacteria had an unlimited food supply and the cavity rate followed accordingly. Today, the average person consumes around 17 teaspoons of added sugar per day. Ancient humans consumed close to 0. The final blow was texture. Modern food is soft. Extraordinarily, historically, almost absurdly soft. Yogurt, bread, pasta, rice, cereal, protein bars, smoothies. Everything that constitutes the bulk of a modern diet requires almost no chewing force at all. The jaw never gets the stimulus it needs to develop fully. The muscles weaken, the bones narrow, and every generation inherits a slightly smaller face than the one before it. You did not get crowded teeth because of bad genes. You got crowded teeth because you grew up eating food that required almost no effort to consume in a food environment that did not exist for any human being until about 10,000 years ago. Your mouth is not broken. It was simply never given the chance to fully build itself. So here is what we now know. For the vast majority of human history, the mouth worked, not because ancient humans were disciplined about oral hygiene, not because they had better genetics or stronger constitutions or some biological advantage we lost along the way, but because every single day they were doing something with their mouths that we stopped doing almost completely. They were chewing. Hard food, fibrous food, resistant food that forced the jaw to develop fully, kept the bacterial environment balanced, and maintained a mouth that required no intervention, no correction, and no quarterly professional cleaning to stay functional. And then we softened everything. We refined the grain, processed the meat, added the sugar, and handed children food that dissolved before it required a single serious chewing effort. The jaw never got the signal to grow. The teeth had nowhere to go. The bacteria found an unlimited food supply. And within a few generations, an entirely new industry emerged to manage the consequences. Orthodontists to straighten what should have grown straight, oral surgeons to remove teeth that should have had room, dentists to patch the decay that should never have formed. The modern dental industry is, in a very real sense, the cleanup crew for an experiment in human nutrition that went badly wrong and that nobody has ever seriously asked you to think about. Here is the number that should stay with you. The global orthodontics market is currently worth over $6 billion per year and is growing. $6 billion spent annually to mechanically rearrange teeth that would have aligned on their own if the jaw had been given the stimulus to develop correctly in the first place. $6 billion that ancient humans, with their hard food and their functional mouths and their complete absence of dental insurance, never needed to spend. And the most unsettling part is this. The fix is not complicated. It is not a new technology or an undiscovered drug or a procedure that requires specialist equipment. The research points to something so straightforward that it feels almost insulting after all of this. Children who are given harder, more fibrous, more resistant food during the critical years of jaw development show measurably broader dental arches and significantly better tooth alignment. Nasal breathing, which ancient humans did almost exclusively, promotes proper jaw and facial development in ways that mouth breathing, now extremely common in children, actively undermines. Chewing gum, specifically hard mastic gum of the kind studied by orthodontic researchers, produces measurable increases in jaw density and width in adults. The jaw remains responsive tissue for longer than previously understood. It does not stop responding to stimulus when you turn 18. Your mouth is not a fixed object. It is a living structure that responds to how you use it. Ancient humans used theirs constantly, forcefully, and without thinking about it, because their food demanded it. Yours probably does not. And the result is that you are managing, at considerable financial and physical cost, a set of consequences that your great-grandmother, sitting in a field somewhere chewing dried meat with a jaw like a vice, never once had to think about. This is not about abandoning modern food entirely or pretending that agriculture was a mistake. It is about understanding that the human mouth was built for a level of mechanical demand that modern life has quietly removed, and that the removal has had consequences that $6 billion a year in orthodontic work has not come close to solving. Chew harder food. Breathe through your nose. Give your children things that require actual effort to eat, not because some ancient human did it, but because your jaw is still the same jaw they had, sitting in a modern face, waiting for a signal that most of us stopped sending a very long time ago. Your dentist is not your enemy, but the food environment that keeps putting you in that chair, that is a different conversation entirely.